you ever have like a big Lego set when you were a kid? Like a Lego? You ever play with Legos? I got burp.
Yeah, I played with Legos, but I didn't have that much. I know my uncle had like a whole bunch of sets.
He had a bunch of Lego sets?
Yeah, he had a bunch of Lego sets. Like
what did he have?
I remember he had the castle.
Okay.
He had a bunch of medieval sets. He had space sets.
Okay.
And he had the underwater sets.
I got that space shuttle I still have to build.
Well, no, this was like...
the whole launch pad?
Not the launch pad or anything. It wasn't like, oh, here's this object. It was more like, here's like the scenario.
What do you mean?
Like what's it? It's like the little tiny people and all that.
Okay.
And they had like the castles and like the houses you can build.
Yeah.
It was like those kind of sets.
So it's like a whole space station?
Yeah, it was like a space station for people to like walk around in, but it had like robots and stuff. And like, I remember he had a castle. He also had the underwater excursion, scuba diving.
Some old school shit, man.
Yeah, I was more Bionicles.
I know you're hot on that Bionicles.
Oh yeah, super.
You're
hot.
Waiting for that comeback.
It came back, but I missed it.
Oh no.
So now I'm waiting for the next Insurgents.
Now you're just watching. Have you seen those new Star Wars figures that are just Bionicles with like Star Wars shit plastered on them?
Yeah, the things I don't want.
Yeah, I don't want.
Because I just want Bionicles.
I just want the Warriors of Mata Nui.
Yeah.
No, like I remember playing a Bionicles game like a long time ago for the PS2. That was not bad.
I didn't play the video games. I just collected the actual Bionicles.
I had a Game Boy Advance Bionicle game. That was terrible.
And I remember, I think it was Series 3 I had the whole set.
Yeah.
So I remember I got to the point where I could take them all apart and make like the big colossal versions.
You could do that?
Yeah, eventually when you get 3 of a certain kind, there's like a whole they all had in the back of their booklets.
Oh yeah, they have diagrams.
They had diagrams, and in the back of their booklets they had like instructions on how to put them together to make one super.
Just like Bakugans.
Bakugan,
yeah. Battle marbles. That's what Bakugan was.
I got into Beyblades. I did not get into Bakugan.
Beyblade. I was on YouTube and I looked up old footage of the old Beyblade Battle League from like 2007.
Yeah.
I gotta show that to you later. It is something else. It is the commentator. He kind of looks like Ludacris, and I'm like, this is an alternate universe where Fast and Furious never took off,
but
Beyblade did.
I would like to live in that universe actually.
Feeling Podcast. Brand new episode, special one.
Beyblade edition.
Beyblade edition. We are now recording from a huge plastic bowl.
I had those huge plastic bowls.
I never had one. You know what I had? I had a regular bowl that my mom would be like, "It's all scratched up. What did you do?"
No, I had a fun story with Beyblades, which was in the show. I used to go by the rules of the show.
Okay.
Which that's the thing. If there's a thing that has an anime or a show connected to it, don't listen to the rules of the show.
Why?
They are always wrong. Like
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Exactly, like Yu-Gi-Oh! I tried playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the show did.
It doesn't work.
It does not work.
I used to have a friend who would do that, and I would just go, no! And I got so angry I flipped the table once. This was like in middle school.
Yeah, but with Beyblades, one of the things they said was, if you have a thing that's like the cord with the jagged...
Yeah, the launcher thing. Yeah, the ripcord.
Yeah, the ripcord. If you had a long ripcord,
yeah,
and there was a move that you can do where if you run and jump and launch it in, you get a better advantage.
Okay.
They said this in the show.
Okay.
And the one I had a long ripcord. I'm like, oh, I could totally do that. And so then I did, and I remember it bounced out of the bowl.
Too much power.
That was one of the problems. It would immediately bounce right out of the bowl, and then I remember one time it like ricocheted off something and cut open cut open someone's beer can, and beer just starts spraying all over.
Weaponized Beyblades.
Yeah,
Beyblades are heavy as fuck.
Well, now they are.
Well, now they were okay.
No. Now they
I haven't held a Beyblade.
Beyblades now have metal around them.
I'm sure they were like some underground Beyblade matches back in the day.
No, now all Beyblades have metal.
Well, yeah, now they're all the underground version. But I distinctly remember back in the day, some people would be like, I put ball bearings in my Beyblade to control its weight distribution. And like this is like Need for Speed Underground, but with tops, and this is kind of the stupidest thing I've ever
Are you
seen.
talking about the show or real people?
No, real people.
Oh, because that was a thing in the show too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never watched the show that much. I watched like 7 episodes of the TV show.
No, I followed like a whole story.
Nah, man, because you know what? Metabots was the best.
Oh hell yeah, Metabots.
Metabots needs to come back.
Ah, I wish they were a thing.
This is a hell of a sidetrack.
Yeah.
Fear the Ink podcast. We're back. I'm Julian.
I'm Rob.
And we got something special for you this week. It is what we call the Ink Blot, which is we take a couple of shorter stories and we read them out to you. And
try to make the length of an hour.
I
guess.
This is going to be more than an hour.
Probably.
We're already 6 minutes in.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right, we'll be here. We'll be here forever. But, okay, well, we got 2 stories. The first story is...
The Devil's Mimic.
By...
Boy,
It's a fun name.
Yeah, it is a real fun name. By Yum Crunch Felix.
Yum Crunch Felix. You ever watch Felix the Cat?
No.
I always liked that he had that infinite bag and he had a tail that he could do anything with.
No,
I feel like I'm the only person who likes Felix the Cat.
No, I was a Garfield person.
Why?
I liked Garfield.
Why?
I don't know.
Why does anyone like Garfield?
I don't know.
Felix the Cat is superior. They're not even in the same thing. Garfield is like a sitcom. Felix the Cat is like an extra dimensional.
He's like Woody the Woodpecker,
adventure.
But more toned down.
Yeah, Felix the Cat is like German expressionist Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so Yum Crunch Felix gives us The Devil's Mimic, our first story of the night, a 9.3 at creepypasta.com.
Yep.
So we'll do what we did with Garbage Strike. Oh boy, with the raccoon people. And we'll do the 2 for 2 unless it's a really long paragraph. We're going to switch off popcorn style just like you did in elementary school when no one wanted to participate. And Rob, kick it off.
You know what our problem is? We're too damn accommodating.
You're right.
That's what I told my wife when she agreed to look after that awful bird.
Well,
we already looked after a friend's toddler every Thursday, and take the lady across the corridor lady across the corridor shopping, and then there were all the charity case kids. She teaches piano for free. It's just too much. So when her aunt Margaret asked us to look after her pet Mina,
I think. Yeah, Mina
bird while she went to Belgium, I wanted to refuse. Of course, my wife didn't.
This man is at the end of his rope.
God damn it, hon, you're being too charitable. No. Stop being charitable. Stop doing something bad for once.
Stop teaching inner city kids. You must know the problem with Mina birds. They mimic sounds they enjoy hearing over and over again. I read on the internet about a Japanese woman who looked after her friend's Mina. After 3 days of the bird making the sound of a microwave, she could take no more. Shut up or I'll make you yakitori. Of course, that became the bird's favorite phrase, and the woman spent the next month trying to re-educate it.
So we spent the next 2 weeks on our best behavior. No swearing, no shouting, no sex. It just trails off.
Yeah, no ...
No ... Well, anyway, we were on our best behavior. My wife's aunt loves classical music, so we left the radio on classical FM. I don't know what station that is.
No.
Unfortunately, the bird grew fond of Alan Titchmarsh? Titchmarsh. Alan Titchmarsh. So we had to switch to BBC Radio 3.
British
radio. Apart from the fact the bird could imitate the phone bloody thing, I was waiting for a job interview. That's gotta be because the bird's imitating the phone ring.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm waiting for a phone interview, so he thinks the phone's ringing, and this bird's an asshole.
This bird is an asshole.
Everything went smoothly until 2 weeks into its stay.
Oh, okay. So they're British. This is another
British.
Should we? No, I don't want. Let's not bust out our British accents from Niall.
No.
That was the lowest views.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. The next two are equal length.
Okay.
The first setback was a call from Belgium. The aunt had had an accident and needed surgery. She apologized profusely, asking us to look after the mina until she found a friend to look after it on a long-term basis. Annoying as it was, this was only a minor inconvenience compared to what happened next. I confess that something about that bird's continuous chattering put me on edge, and I found myself unable to sleep. One night, staring blankly at the ceiling, I heard a snatch of music from the next room. I looked at the alarm clock. 4 in the morning, I wondered. Oh, 4 in the morning. I wondered, had someone left the radio on, or was it the mina? I wanted to ignore it, but I was on edge. I went into the next room and checked the radio. Off. I turned to the mina. It was about to say something, but then raccoon hands.
Try as I might,
Oh.
I can't fully describe what happened next. Somehow, what the bird said to me still etched in my soul.
Ooh.
I heard each syllable clearly, yet I cannot manage to get it down on paper. I will try to describe it for you. A deep,
Guttural?
deep guttural voice, weary but full of malice. It was as if the voice were coming out of the ground from a distance. From a distant moss-eaten sepulcher?
Yeah. You know what that is, right?
No.
It's a, in like medieval movies where they make a mound of stones and they're like, someone's buried under here.
Oh.
And that's a sepulcher.
That's a sepulcher? Okay.
Yeah.
What the voice said I couldn't understand, but it filled me with inescapable crushing dread.
The law.
Same as marriage.
Oh.
It was both completely alien to me and yet at the same time instantly recognizable, as if I had known that voice since birth. In a moment, I was back in bed, the covers pulled over my head, quaking as if my spine had turned into jelly. Ooh, jelly spine. My wife, mercifully, is a heavy sleeper. Twice more that night, I heard the snatch of music, and then the voice. Each time the voice sounded nearer and nearer, and I could not help shivering.
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
What do you think this sounds like?
What?
The sound it's making. It's a snatch of music and then or
And
something.
it's a guttural voice, so...
Yeah. Oh, so they were just playing Slipknot.
Yeah. On British radio.
On BBC Radio 3. And now, people equals shit.
By Slipknot.
By Slipknot.
Written by Corey Taylor.
Corey Taylor just wants to write love songs. Leave him alone. In the morning, I asked my wife if she had been disturbed in the night. Thankfully, she had not. I felt like asking to get rid of the mina, but I knew that would make things worse. To be fair, I'd been complaining about it for 2 weeks, and my bizarre story would sound contrived and only make things worse. When she went out to piano lessons, I took a moment to think. Perhaps my dread last night had not been born of the darkness and sleeplessness. I needed to know whether my fear was justified. I needed to know what the bird was saying.
I got an MP3 recorder ready and waited for the bird to speak again. It had plenty to say, mostly Groucho Marx for some reason.
This morning I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How I got in my pajamas, I'll never know.
But never repeated the spectral voice. It was only at 4 o'clock the next morning that I heard the snatch of music and knew what was coming next. The Barry White music starts playing.
Ooh, wait, he's gonna dick the bird?
Oh no! I feel starts feeling the covers start pulling off.
Ghost sex.
Oh no! I grabbed the recorder, set it running, and rushed to the next room.
Wait a second, I was right. Wait, is this German expressionist Woody Woodpecker?
You got to be really fast at that moment.
I'm just imagining Woody Woodpecker, but like
I'm imagining
the shadows are deep and all the straight lines are slanted.
No, now I'm just imagining like like I imagine the bird's like somewhere in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And like this horrible stuff's happening in the kitchen. He just runs in real quick with the recorder, like, "Don't mind me, don't mind me." Places down and runs out. "Don't mind me."
I heard the voice of a woman. Go out goes he. I recognized that. It was from an old black and white movie we had watched that evening. Slightly apprehensive, I adjusted the volume slightly and held the recorder to the bird. It cocked its head to one side and looked at me questioningly and began its dark recital. I shuddered as I heard the deep voice, relaxed by such an innocuous form, and yet carrying behind it all the malice of hell. But deep down, I felt I was winning. I had a recording. The bird went through its act 3 times in about 2 hours. The music, the woman's voice, then that deep, haunting muttering, and I recorded it each time. So it's a muttering?
It's a muttering now?
Hey, make an sound. Is that what it sounds like?
I guess.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to like when you're trying to explain a sound and you're not really giving too good of a detail on it. I mean, he's trying his best. He's saying it's hard to comprehend.
I mean, my mind is racing for what it sounds like, so it's doing its job.
It is, but
it's stoking the flames of curiosity.
The next morning, I listened to the recording. As soon as my wife left for work in the daylight, I was able to recognize the music as part of Walton's facade, but I was still sickened as I listened back to that voice. Stupid as it sounds, I was also happy that the recording had turned out so well. As I left, I said "Cheerio" to the mina. Tell him Groucho sent you," replied the bird. I don't get what it sees in Groucho Marx.
Glasses, mustache, and a nose, obviously.
Yeah.
Hey, remember those series of books? Funny Kid, Funny Man?
No.
Kid Funny? Forgot what it was called, but he was a superhero whose whole thing is he had the Groucho Marx glasses, nose, and mustache, and his superpower was telling really funny jokes, and he stops the bad guys dead in their tracks.
No, I don't.
I didn't even know if I got it right, but I got it at Scholastic Book Fair along with Croc 2 for the PS1. So I remember. That's a non sequitur. I spent the day taking my recording around to find out more about it. I took it to the library, the local language college, the Cultural Institute, even the sushi bar in case it was Oriental.
What? Yeah, because when I have demonic voices, I immediately go to my Japanese restaurant and say, "Hey, does this sound Oriental to you?"
It's just the sound of the Oni. It is the yokai. I need healing. There it is. In all cases, no one knew or had ever heard the language spoken. Also, in all cases, they looked deathly pale when they heard the recording and asked me to turn it off and leave immediately. In fact, the sushi bar offered me some free maki if I promised never to come back, so that was a plus. But I still had no progress to show. As a last resort, I decided to try the Catholic cathedral.
The cool stone floors and mosaic walls gave me welcome respite from the sun as I entered. The cathedral was dark as night inside, with light emanating from the canopy above the altar, like a tent on a hilltop. I looked around and gave a jump as I saw the priest sitting at the information desk. Information here.
Just
yes, priest. Priest. I need to know if you have any books on this.
Good evening. Do you have any demonic recordings for me tonight?
He was tall, quite old, and almost skeletally thin.
Mm.
There was a skeleton in him. Under his thick glasses, he arranged his mouth into a thin smile and gave a clumsy wave.
He's a Lego man.
I approached with some trepidation.
Yeah.
And told him why I had come. He listened to the recording in silence. His face displayed signs of recognition. Then he said, "Where did you get this?" I explained about the mina we were looking after. He considered this for a second, excused himself, and sauntered off.
Oh, he sauntered.
He returned with another priest, younger and rounder, with a walrus mustache.
Hello, I'm Wilford Brimley, and I'm here to talk to you about diabetes.
I'm here to talk to you about Satan. Why it's bad.
I was in hard target.
I was in Cocoon.
I was in cocoon.
We listened to the voice for a second before asking to see the mina immediately.
I took both priests to the flat and made them a cup of tea. This is extremely British. Then the three of us sat in silence, watching the bird. Once again, the bird never repeated the sepulchral voice. It seemed only to do it at night. The younger priest made no movement nor sound as he listened, whereas the older, skeletal priest waggled his hands appreciatively every time the mina mimicked Groucho, sometimes wheezing in appreciation. After half an hour, the younger priest spoke.
Mr. Stevens, thank you for alerting us to the extremely serious matter. You did the right thing. I am happy to say that you aren't in any immediate danger. The bird is merely copying some person it has heard saying this.
He also does an excellent Groucho.
Interjected the old priest. However,
Continue.
continued he sternly. However, whoever said the words in grave danger, I would ask you to find out where the bird learnt these words and allow us to meet this person. But
Oh yeah, you do it.
But how would I find out? It could be from the radio or the TV, or I very much doubt that. You must try to remember everyone who has spoken to the bird.
I looked into my tea and shuddered. By Jove, this is now grey. The young priest sensed my reluctance and said,
Mr. Stevens, you should be happy. You have the chance to save a soul. Such opportunities are not common.
He sounds like he's upset that I'm not doing my taxes. After they left, I started racking my brains, all five of them, writing lists of everyone who had visited the flat. To be honest, I suspected my wife. She'd been increasingly distant recently, and I knew the fact that I had been out of a job for so long was taking its toll on our relationship. I did not know her voice could get like that, but I knew I didn't understand exactly what I was dealing with. A more promising solution, however, presented itself the next day.
Around lunchtime, the phone rang. I answered, but I felt my stomach turn and my heart race. When I heard the voice at the other end, it was the deep, stony baritone, somewhat more cheerful than the mina nocturnal chant, but with unmistakable menace. I tried to answer, but only choked when I tried to form words.
All right, I'll be the voice. You be British man.
Okay.
Mr. Stevens, are you there?
Yes, that's me, I replied, regaining my composure.
You're looking after Margaret's mina, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, good. Margaret just phoned from Austin. She wants me to look after it. Can I pick up tomorrow from your flat, 4 p.m.?
Yes, of course. See you tomorrow at 4? Of course. How did I miss that? I wasn't someone who came to this flat. The mina had learnt from a friend of Aunt Margaret. I felt relieved, but only for a second. Was Aunt Margaret involved in... I didn't know. But I didn't know this friend of hers, maybe a neighbor, a long-lost lover.
Oh.
Maybe the real owner of the mina.
Yeah, maybe the devil?
Maybe it's Satan?
Oh, Satan, welcome.
Friend of hers was someone... I didn't know this friend of hers was some way involved. Now, I had to face this man, this unknown terror. I didn't know what to expect. I was worried. If I exposed this man, how would he react? Would it be safe?
Is it safe?
Is it safe?
The next day came. A monstrous summer storm had gathered, and the London sky was dyed dark green by the sapphire sun. Ooh, fancy. Rain thrashed the windows and cried miserably as it slid into the gutters. Rorschach's journal. It was a Thursday, so we were babysitting again. This was bad timing, as I didn't want the baby there when I confronted the stranger.
That's his baby now?
Wait. Oh, yeah, no, they're friends, baby.
Their friends
They
baby.
babysit every
Oh,
Thursday.
yeah, babysit.
Yeah. I looked anxiously at my watch. 10 to 4. I shivered. One part of me wanted to just hand over the bird. Don't mention anything about the odd incantation. After all, why should I believe anything the priests told me? I knew what I was going to do. But then I heard the music.
The little snatch of music, so simple, but the precursor of the demonic voice. The baby gurgled happily on the sofa. I didn't want someone so young to hear that voice, so I rushed to the bird. Now it started speaking in the woman's voice. I felt my heart leap into my throat. My first thought was to throttle Amina, but I was interrupted by a voice. That terrible dark voice. Every fiber of my body wanted to scream. The voice had come from the baby.
Oh, shit!
The baby Satan!
The baby's there to pick up the bird. Wait. I'm confused.
Yep,
Is the baby possessed?
I guess.
I liked it up until then. Then I
Yeah.
got confused.
I mean, unless is this devil thing now possessing the baby?
Yeah, did it jump from the Mina to the baby?
I don't know. I was figuring, I don't know. Like, the other idea is, well, he said I'm going to pick it up at 4. Well, I can't come, well, the devil or whatever is like, I can't come to Earth in whatever form I am. I have to possess something. Baby!
No, I come to pick it up at 4. So he picked it up and he put it in the baby.
I came to pick it up as a baby.
But I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. No, it was steady. It had a point. It had a vision, and it went with it. It was well written. Or
Yeah.
those few sentences that were like really good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
I liked it a lot. What's its crispy level?
I give it an 8.
8?
I give it
8 out of 8 of what?
8 out of... 8 out of Groucho Marx.
8 out of Groucho Marx. I give it an 8. An 8 out of I push my fingers into my eyes.
8 out of Corey Taylor reading poetry to kids.
I give it an 8 out of Stone Temple Pilots.
Uh,
All right. Well, we got another story tonight.
Yeah,
I really like that one. That story was really good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I enjoyed reading that. We're not done yet, guys.
No,
But
because
I don't know if we should do like a. Is there a break? No, there's no breaks. There's no breaks on this train.
no, once the ink starts running, there's no stopping.
What?
When the ink runs,
Uh-huh.
you can't stop it.
Oh.
It's spreading. We're spreading.
Oh God. Get someone to look at that.
Yes.
Our next story, second one out of 2,
Yep.
Ink Blots Volume 1, is a story called The White Doors.
Mm-hmm.
8.9 on creepypasta.com. Written by one Matt Masia.
Masia?
Ralph Macchio. No, Matt Masia.
Matt Masia.
Okay. I'll kick it off. Horror in real life doesn't come suddenly. It's not a shock or a reactionary scream. Horror in real life is a slow realization that occurs over the course of years. It needs time to mold, decay, and spread. True horror is painful, often sad and tragic. It's a slow deterioration, separating you from all forms of comfort and happiness. It is the kind of horror that I felt ever since I learned of my mother's passing. Ooh,
I really like that phrase.
that's a really good first paragraph.
Problem is, when you open with a paragraph like this, it better stay at this level.
It better stay, or
If
get better.
It has to stay at this level, or else this is just gonna nosedive immediately to the ground.
I'm going to read the next one, and then you can have that long one.
Okay.
The circumstances of her death did not make things any easier. It wasn't a slow death with time to make amends, adjust, or say goodbye. She hadn't been fighting a disease or infection for years. She wasn't old and nearing the end of her life. Her death came for her quickly and unexpectedly.
My mother, who after divorce and my brothers moving away, had been living alone. She kept herself busy by working for the church and caring for her parents. My last couple visits home, I had noticed she seemed more fragile than she should for a woman her age. Fragile for a woman her age. She had lost weight and seemed starved for visitors.
Yeah.
There was also a look in her eye that bothered me. There were sleeplessness, panicked, and broken. It seemed as if she wanted to tell me something but couldn't. Instead, she would just smile sadly and change the subject. I was told that my brother found her late one night in October, locked in the downstairs bathroom, naked, lying in her own blood, with her wrists sliced open. She was 63 years old.
Ooh.
Damn, that's fucking dark.
That's fucking dark.
Knowing that,
Yeah, you can do that.
knowing that suicide is a moral sin in the Catholic Church, and my brother's being a devout Catholic, I couldn't help but wonder if something else was involved in her passing. Not anything scandalous or plotted, but something queer or uncomfortable that had been with me and my thoughts since I was a child. It dealt with our family home and more particularly the old wooden doors.
Ooh, I got goosebumps.
Damn.
It all began with trouble sleeping. For as long as I can remember, I always had trouble falling asleep in my parents' house. My grandmother told me that as a small child I was prone to sleep terrors. She would watch me during the day while my parents were at work, and in the evenings, when they went out to dinner, she told me that she was watching me the night a bad storm hit our neighborhood. Okay, that was weird. Okay, that was on me.
Yeah.
All right. A tornado had been spotted that night, but never touched down. However, the lightning did claim the house's electricity. My grandmother raced to my bedroom, worried the window facing my crib would break under the violent wind. There was something else she was afraid of as well. When my grandmother picked me up from my crib, she said she felt something in the room, something new, different, and dark. My grandmother, who came to America from Italy as a child, told my parents that she had felt a strange presence that night and begged them to allow her to do a prayer to remove the maloik, or an old world superstition. But my parents, who were religious, believed in angels and demons, not folklore. They didn't want to dabble in curses and superstition.
As I got older, the sleep terrors continued as nightmares. It wasn't uncommon for me to wake up hours after going to bed, only to be too afraid to fall back asleep. Later in high school, I dealt with my insomnia, but not sleeping for days until I could fall asleep quickly. It wasn't until I went away for college that I was able to rest peacefully.
Oh.
I attribute my difficult sleeping all those years to the doors in my parents' house. They were big plain wood doors, simple with no additional furnish or decoration. They seemed ominous. Nevertheless, I would spend hours looking at the patterns in the green, finding shapes and images in them like one would do with clouds.
Have you ever read The Yellow Wallpaper? Dog's going crazy, man. You ever read that story?
The Yellow Wallpaper?
Yeah.
No.
It's about a woman who's trapped in a room and all she can look at is the wallpaper. Dog is going crazy again. Oh my god. But yeah, no, it's okay. So
no, I get what he's doing because one of the things I do when I go to the lake house in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You can see one of the things I do every now and then is I look at the wood grain and try to make faces out of the knots and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I've ever seen. Every time I look at wood grain, I kind of just imagine like lava lamp kind of deal. It's just kind of like coursing around.
Yeah, I kind of see that.
But the whole faces thing, I never really did.
Yeah, because there's a lot of knots in like the wood, and so like the idea is like I try to make faces. I think one time I made an owl face.
I can see how you would see an owl face.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you looking at? Like the wall?
Yeah, you're looking at the wall, but it's like you know, like how you look at hardwood floor,
Yeah.
and you know, like how in some there's like giant knots,
Yeah.
like the huge dark spots.
Yeah.
Well, when some of them are clumped together, you could kind of make a face out of them.
I get it. I get it. It's like when you look at the clouds and stuff. All right.
The more I looked, the more I saw, until the images seemed so clear to me. Strange, famished figures, naked with one leg or half a torso, rabid dogs, and old bearded men. I saw faces too, wide-eyed, mouths open, sometimes made of knots in the wood, as I just described. Only suffering as if the spirits of those things had somehow became trapped in the wood.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've made those faces too, but I also arranged them to be more like the the movie Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
The tree spirits.
Yeah, the
with
tree spirits.
spinning faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like making those.
Oh. All right, I'll take these two.
Okay.
The bathroom door on the first floor was the worst. It was positioned next to the door leading to the basement, and the lock in the doorknob was finicky. It would sometimes get stuck or give way, locking or unlocking by itself. The bathroom door also had one of the strangest designs. In the center of the door there was what looked like a woman in intense pain, as if she was in labor. Her face was contorted and blurred with vertical lines of grain. Staring its way out from what I could only imagine.
Tearing?
That might be a typo.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be tearing. That's tarring.
Tearing its way out from what I could only imagine was her stomach, in my childlike imagination, was a wide-eyed creature. I would see the bathroom door in my dreams as well. I had terrible nightmares where I was floating and desperately trying to get away from the bathroom, but I was being pulled backward by an invisible force unable to escape. It would suck me into the darkness of the room. The door would slam shut and lock before I would have the chance to wake up panicked and out of breath.
The nightmares and the lack of sleep only made my already active imagination worse. The strange images and the door weighed on me. There was a door for every room in the house. I could not sleep. I could not escape them. They were a constant presence, staring out at me from the wooden veneer. As a child, I began to see other things. Things that found a way out of its trappings of wood frames. Not things I could look at directly, but rather things that appear in my peripheral vision. The kind of things that always beg to be questioned. Was someone there, or was my imagination getting the best of me? Over time, I got better at being watchful and looking without swifting my gaze. It's a pretty good line there.
Yeah, it is. No, this is pretty good. You're getting us a lot of detail, important details, that builds up and builds upon each other. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
One night, when I was 6 years old, I went into my parents' bedroom feeling guilty that I wasn't yet asleep. I needed to be reassured and comforted because I had scared myself badly. My mother gave me a hug and asked me what was wrong. I told her that I see things out of the corners of my eyes. She asked me about their appearance, but I couldn't get a good look at them. As soon as I turned my head, they were gone. She asked me when the last time was that I had seen one. I told her there is one with us now in the corner of the room. My mother looked over at what to her was an empty corner in her bedroom. She told me that maybe they were angels sent by God to watch and protect me. But they weren't. Something in the pit of my stomach would turn and I would feel sick around them.
They were motionless beings, staring blankly at me, only moving when I wasn't looking, slowly getting closer to me every time I looked away. So it's just the weeping angels?
That's right.
I had first discovered them in my peripheral vision outside my bedroom on the stairs late at night when I couldn't sleep. I would notice a dark shape peeking over the top stair, eyes glistening where nothing should be. I would try to quickly shift my gaze to refocus on them, but they were also gone. I'd eventually look away and then find them against my bedroom door, and then, even closer at my desk, ever present, just outside of sight. And I say, when we take the next.
Yeah, take the next one. Yeah.
I decided that. Oh, computer. Stop
Oh.
it. I decided that they must be demons. Not the red horned demons from cartoons, but something else. They seem old, as if they were somehow misplaced, out of time. At night, when I would see them, I would be too afraid to move or do anything, but stare blankly, not giving them the chance to move closer.
Ooh.
Damn.
Ooh, we picked two good stories
Yeah.
here. Sometimes I would hear them talk to me in my head. They would tell me to do things like to wait in the corner of the room or flood my mind with images of strange, exotic places. I would sometimes do what they said, though nothing ever came of it. My mother panicked one afternoon when she couldn't find me. She searched the entire house, eventually finding me in the bedroom closet, facing the wall where the voices told me to wait. She was in tears when I told her about the voices. She bought me a rosary and asked if the demons were the reason I was having trouble sleeping. Eventually, my father blessed the house with holy water, room by room, as part of the celebration of the Epiphany, recommended every year by the church. It was after this, when I was still seeing them, that my mother became bothered by my demons and their doors. It began to weigh on her as well. Ooh.
Ooh.
All right, you take this too.
I grew up in a suburb just outside of Cleveland.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland. Cleveland, in a working class neighborhood predominantly made up of Irish, Italian, and Slovenians. Slovenians. As Slovenians, where religion was very much a part of life.
Blood for the blood god.
Skulls for the skull throne. My parents were passionately involved in the church as well, and it was through them that I learned to take the sightings I was having very seriously. Instead of denouncing my demons as part of my imagination, my fears were reinforced and their existence confirmed through the power of faith and community.
Ooh.
You want me to take the...
Yeah, man.
Right. One night, we had a priest who was new to the parish over to our house to meet the family. After dinner, he asked me if there was anything I wanted to ask God for. I told him that there are demons in this house and that hide in the doors, and I wanted them to go away. My parents shared a look of concern as my mother tried to explain. The priest looked at the doors before he left and assured me everything was okay. Later that evening, he spoke with my parents, and something was settled between adults.
Oh, okay. This is really good because it there is downtime, and the downtime is great. It's such a short story.
It's not just, a spooky thing was happening, but then I looked over and it's not spooky thing was happening. But here's another time a spooky thing happened.
And the downtime lets the potential energy of the terror build up.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I feel like I eventually have to go back to that first paragraph because he's saying it's not just something keeps happening, it's something that's slow and over time.
Exactly. Okay, I'll take this too.
Okay.
A couple of months later, my father did a small home renovation which included replacing all of the doors with white ones. It was relieving for the doors to finally be gone, and I thought I would now be rid of the strange creatures and be able to sleep. But it was too late. My mother told me that she was having nightmares now as well. Something about the doors, she would say. As I got older, I read about the possession of objects like the Annabelle doll, and how the Native Americans believed in evil wood spirits called Wakakunya, and I mostly ignored the demons, and I eventually stopped seeing them. Despite my mother's wishes, I no longer went to church, and I refused to talk about religious matters or anything involving the strange things I had seen and felt in the house. I told myself that the horrors I faced as a child were due to my overactive imagination and strict religious upbringing. By the time I left for college, there had been no talk of doors, demons, or nightmares for a long time, although I would still occasionally get that sick feeling in my stomach late at night when I was near the downstairs bathroom door.
My parents would later divorce, my mom keeping the house and working at the church. I moved away to work for work work to I moved away for work to Twin Falls. It wasn't until my dad called to tell me about the circumstances of my mother's passing that I began to wonder if something more had happened to my mother. I made the trip home to find my childhood neighborhood had been hit hard by the recession. It was now only a faded memory of the town I grew up in. The corner ice cream parlor was now a get cash fast lender, and the streets were relatively empty and bleak. Houses were boarded up, and my old high school had closed. Parked at a red light, I watched the traffic light signal to empty streets. My parents' house even looked different, old and not as well kept as it was when my father had lived there. The grass had been overrun with weeds, and siding was dirty.
All right. Ooh, this is really good. It's really good. We stood in front of the house that afternoon after the funeral, my brother's father and I. My brothers explained to me how my mom had been stressed. Her mood swings had been violent and her sleeping pattern was erratic. She would go for long periods of time without sleeping and then fall into a deep sleep for days. My brother told me how late one evening after work he had gone over our mother's house to check on her. It had been 2 or 3 in the morning by the time he'd arrived and letting himself in, finding our mother in the kitchen making breakfast. He told me that she'd become confused about the time and had thought it was morning. He explained that she was trying different medications to help with the insomnia, and the doctors had thought the mood swings and suicide could have been a side effect. I told them about how I used to have trouble sleeping in her house and about the demons in the doors. They laughed. They were too young to remember. I told them that I thought I was going to sleep better after Dad had replaced the doors, but it wasn't until college that I slept well. My dad stopped me and told me he never replaced the doors. He just painted them white.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, shit.
Damn. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. That was really good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's the best story we read on the show so far.
I'm going to say, yeah, this is by far the best.
This is not a 10. It's a 9. It's a solid 9.
It's definitely a solid 9.
It's a solid 9 cheap doors. 9 cheap doors out of 9.
A 9, I didn't replace shit because I'm a bad parent.
Yeah, a 9 out of I could just punch a hole through these doors.
Yeah.
And then the demons would come out. But I'd say we picked 2 really good stories.
Yeah.
For this Ink Blots Volume 1. There will be more. I'm thinking every 5 episodes or so we'll do.
Yeah, a couple of shorts.
Yeah, a couple of shorties or whatever. Whenever we can't find anything lengthy, we'll just, I bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good. What do you think? What do you think about this Ink Blots idea? What do you think of this story? Give me your rundown. What do you think of the story?
Okay, Devil's Mimic.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was a good story. It was pretty good up until the end, I will say.
Okay, yeah.
Because that ending was a little...
It was sudden.
It was just, whoa, why? Yeah, it was written very well. Like I said, just up until that ending, just kind of was kind of a throw off.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's supposed to be like all of a sudden, oh no, that thing, but
it's supposed to be a twist, and then it just wasn't effective.
Yeah, it wasn't that effective. White Doors, on the other hand, had a twist, super effective, and I have to say, going back to that original paragraph, it did what it was said it was going to do.
That's right. It's extremely well structured, extremely well paced. The whole storytelling style of this guy just recounting memories to you was used to great effect.
It's like it also kind of said it kind of feels like also in this opening paragraph he's self-aware about what he's writing about.
Yeah.
Like he knows I have to take it slow. I can't just throw things at you. I have to.
He writes like he knew how it would end. He knew about the twist, and we're just building up to it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Well, this was a productive episode.
Yeah.
Of Fear the Ink, and I feel like we're getting our groove. Thank you for continuing to watch this ragtag thing we do every week.
Yeah.
I know the releases have been super late and like weird, but life got in the way. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but
Yeah, stuff.
at least there's an episode coming out every week.
Yeah.
We have an email. You can email us at feartheinkcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page where I post random short horror films and like creepy images. And Rob has a few ideas. He's gonna jump on there.
Yeah, I have a few ideas. I'm about to probably launch pretty soon.
That's right. You know, he can just jump on there. He's an admin. I'm an admin. We're good.
Yep.
I hope you guys enjoyed this because, like, I don't even have time for jokey jokes. These two stories are so good. I mean, next week it's gonna be a goddamn disaster. I know.
How do you feel? You think so?
I feel like next week, whatever story, it's Rob's turn, by the way, to pick the story next week.
True.
So he was Garbage Strike.
But
Garbage Strike wasn't bad. And it gave us the adventures of the Raccoon Man and his Hobo League. So the memes keep coming. The memes make themselves.
Yeah.
So, and then next Ink Blots will be Rob picking 2 short stories.
Oh, I'll be picking 2 short
That's
stories?
right. It's yours.
Okay.
Or we'll pick one and I pick one, you pick one.
I'll try finding stuff that's short then.
Yeah, find something. There's a little time, the time.
Yeah, the time thingy.
The suggested time thing on the Creepypasta website where under 10 minutes.
Under 10.
As you can see, we are 51 minutes in.
Yeah.
And this recording, after the editing and everything, will be a bit more, but we're still yammering. So, but we'll be back next week. Next week, I don't know, we might record 2 episodes next week. Huh? You know?
Record 2?
Yeah, because,
Oh, yeah, it might be a little long.
Yeah.
Because that long as the woods.
Oh. That's right. I don't know, we might do a 2-parter. I don't know. I do have, it might be more than a 2-parter. It might be a 3-parter, but it might be our first epic Anansi's Goatman story. That's one that's been in my head for a long time. And Rob's never read it, even though for years I've been telling him to read it.
You've been telling me for years to read
so
that
this
story.
might be it, The show might be a platform. We might be able to fit it in under an hour.
Yeah.
Because I've read it sitting, when it was originally posted on 4chan.
Yeah.
I just sat down and read it, and I was just terrified. I couldn't go to sleep. So, anything to recommend, Rob? Anything? Rob plugs? Anything?
Rob plugs.
Anything to plug? Recommend? Well, you did a recommendation last week.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I recommended
Well, oh, yeah, he recommended Sabrina last week, guys. Yeah. I recommend Gideon Falls by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. Issue 1 is a comic book. It's out now. It's really weird, and it'll make you scared of, like, barns. I mean, barns are already kind of scary at night, but
scary stuff happens in barns.
Scary stuff happens in barns. It's a slow burn. It's a real slow burn. First issue's out. Art is great. They use colors really interesting in a really interesting manner of just like, instead of a jump scare, the colors change, and it's just as effective as a jump scare. Where you won't even turn the page because you're reading a page and the color change is in your peripheral vision, and then you focus on the page and you're like, oh, geez.
I forgot the color was there.
Yeah, I forgot the color was there, or I forgot that the palette has switched. What is white is now red, and what is red is now white.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's really good. And Andrea Sorrentino, he does a good job of, like, when he did, like, Green Arrow, when someone would get punched, just that panel where they're getting punched is red. So it would look like in a video game where
hit sparks.
It would look like hit sparks, and it was super effective. But, this might be for a different podcast. But I hope you guys have a good Easter. Easter. Good Easter.
Yeah, Easter and Passover.
Yeah. So, Rob, say goodbye.
Goodbye, folks.
Hey, guys. Goodbye.
See ya.